Hello, my name is Mark Mazower, and I teach history at Columbia University. And I'm going to talk today about a painting by a man called Theodore Leblanc that's to be found in Brown Library in Rhode Island in the United States as part of the Anne Brown military collection of prints and drawings and watercolors. I can't really describe the extraordinary sensation that I had when I came across this painting that is largely unknown to scholars of the Greek War of Independence, but has been hiding in plain sight for so long as the remarkable collections at Brown University Library have been digitized. And when I came across it, I saw this panorama unfold before my eyes that drew me into Greece, probably the Peloponnese, at the end of a long, exhausting, and bitter struggle that was the War of Independence. And I think that the reason that this painting has had such an impact on me is that I've spent a lot of time not only reading about the War of Independence, but looking at the visual material that survived from that time. We live in an age that is saturated with images. We can't escape images. They force themselves upon us. But in fact, in this pre-photographic, pre-digital era of the 1820s, there is only a relatively restricted number of images that have come down to us from that time. And most of them are by now familiar, well known. Some of them, like Delacroix's masterpiece of Messalonghi, even perhaps a little hackneyed through over-familiarization. A small number of people were drawn to depict what they saw at the time in Greece. I'm not now referring to the rather larger collection of pictures that date from the era of what you might call high Orientalism of the mid to late 19th century. I'm talking about things that were painted at the time by people who were there. The Greeks themselves, on the whole, did not do that, or if they did, what they did has not come down to us. The closest, I suppose, are the kind of popular depictions of the sort that we're familiar with from the paintings that were commissioned by General Macriani after the war, some years after the war. Peasant folk paintings, extremely graphic, extremely colourful, extremely animated, and very, very different from the painterly traditions pursued by West European artists. A small number of them were drawn to what was going on in Greece. The majority never went to Greece. The majority of them were probably based in Paris, and important scholarly work has been done on the Philhellenic paintings of the late 1820s. Then there was a smaller set of mostly men, almost entirely men as far as I know, who went to fight, but who were also reasonably accomplished artists, and who sketched and drew and sometimes painted what they saw. One of them was the author of this painting, Theodore Leblanc, who was born in 1800 in France and who appears to have had a double training as a soldier and as an artist. Leblanc, about whom we know almost nothing, belonged to that tradition that was immortalized by Alfred de Vigny in his brilliant work on the soldier's life, the generation that came just too late to take part in the glorious Napoleonic Wars. And they were haunted by the feeling that they had missed out on the chance of glory. And some of them, especially those who came from a Bonapartist family, looked for action elsewhere, and Greece drew them. And I suspect this was probably true of Leblanc, who is said to have been trained by a painter who came from a strongly Bonapartist tradition. It's one of the few things we know about him. So you have this Frenchman who finds himself in the Peloponnese, no, who goes to the Peloponnese in 1827, as far as we can tell, and sketches, and we have some of his sketchbooks. They're to be found in the Louvre. We have a collection of work that was based on his sketches from nature that was published as a luxury compilation a little later. There are some other works that survive in the Genadio. My interest in Leblanc was aroused initially by the fact that he was one of the very, very, very few people to take an interest in the ordinary people of Greece. And there was a remarkable sketch of two destitute women and a baby and a dog, refugees outside a makeshift tent in the Peloponnese at the end of the war. And then we have this extraordinary painting. I don't know really how to describe the sensation that you get when you look at a scene of thousands of ordinary Greeks, the Greek army, so-called, banded together somewhere in the Peloponnese, somewhere near the end of the war. On the left, you have a number of the military chieftains, among them Kolokotronis, Tsavellas, and probably Plaputas as well, resplendent in their magnificent red and gold costumes, and next to them an emaciated dog, and around them the ordinary people of Greece, the camels, the babies, the campfires, and in the background the mountains. This is Greece as it looked at the end of 7, 8 years of enervating, exhausting struggle. The end in sight, nobody quite sure what the future was to hold. I think it's a masterpiece.